speaking to your counselor before you came on screen, stated that you are currently in ADSEG and you're currently in handcuffs, correct?
Yes.
So what do you think the outcome is going to be after they do their investigation?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorians, we are about to watch a first here at the Mandoo Parole Hearing channel, and that is an Iowa man having his parole hearing with his hands cuffed behind his back. Other states, they might have their handcuff out of protocol, but no, not in Iowa. Now, this man is currently under an investigation for a very serious write-up. He's in SAG, but yet they are going to consider whether he's safe enough to be released into the public. I mean, make that make sense. Now, this hearing, it only gets better. He has so many felonies in his jacket. It's over 9 pages long, and I'll go over with all of them with you in the unpacking, but it includes SA, it includes cruelty to juveniles, it includes cruelty to animals, just to name a few. And he is one of the more dangerous men that we have covered. But here he is in handcuffs, up for parole. Will Iowa do the common sense thing, or will they continue to surprise us with their insanity? We're about to find out.
Good morning. We ready to roll?
Good morning. I'm ready.
Is there anything in the evaluation, anything new or additional that we need to know about?
The recommendation, I believe, remains the same. Mr. Powell is currently in administrative segregation for an investigation. He's not had a report be written yet, but it is important probably to know that he is under investigation.
Anything significant?
I do not know the status of the investigation. I apologize. I should have checked. I can run over and see if I could grab some information about the status quickly, if you like.
Yeah, that might be helpful just to make sure that we have everything that we need to make an informed decision.
Okay, give me just one moment. I apologize.
No worries.
Okay, I do apologize. I just spoke with the sergeant that handles the investigations.
If it's sensitive information, if you'd rather send it in an email, that's fine. Just so you know, Kristen.
Oh, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
They just said he's under investigation for a K2 incident, and that it is likely that it may result in a formal discipline report.
NASC committee.
All right. We'll go ahead and proceed.
Okay.
Any questions, colleagues?
No, sir. I don't.
Go ahead and bring him in.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead to the middle one there. I have pulled forward for you. There you go. So they can see you a little better.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Powell.
Good morning, sir.
You might have to speak up just a little bit so the microphone picks you up. But as we get started here, please state your full name and provide your state ID number, please.
David Powell Jr., 619-4328.
Okay, so we'll get started. So tell us why we're here. Let's tell me about the crime. Tell me about what was going on that day, what was going on in your life. Why are we here today? How did you land in prison?
I landed in prison on burglary in the 3rd degree and false imprisonment and criminal mischief. And the date I can't fully recall. It was like 2 years ago. I was on probation. I violated my probation. At first, I was facing a domestic abuse strangulation, and a false imprisonment, and I played it out to false imprisonment and some no contact orders, and that's what landed me in here.
Okay, explain the crime.
With the burglary or false imprisonment?
Explain what you did. I want the details, not just the charges.
All right. On the burglary, I went into the guy's house. I took some things that I shouldn't took that wasn't mine. I took his TV and his bike and stuff like that.
Okay, now how about the false imprisonment?
The false imprisonment, I basically held Justin Geisenhower against our ability to do anything or make any phone calls, hold her against her will.
Okay, if you were originally charged with domestic, there had to have been some kind of physical
Yes.
assault that occurred. Explain that.
So as I was holding her down or whatever, and like holding her against her will, basically it was a domestic abuse, like you said. I held her down, and as of me holding her and kind of shaking her a little bit, and you know, it left bruises on her arm. They say on her neck, but there was never no bruises on her neck. That's why that charge actually got dropped. So actually, I'm taking full accountability. Like it was, she basically was. Well, I pushed out the bed and was shaking her, and actually, well, yeah, punched her in her arm a couple times, and that's about it. So, I mean, that don't sound too good, but that's what happened.
Okay, so what programming have you completed that you think will help you if and when you're eventually released into the community?
I want to say adapt, and I'm gonna kind of explain a little into detail. Adapt. It kind of helped me understand like my five senses of my emotions, that I know that when I'm starting feeling sad, angry, mad, but adapting and knowing to like paying attention to my body sweating, being, you know, sweating, nervous, different breaths. I learned that those are big triggers that was towards my behavior of me reacting to how I react, as of using those things and learning about goals and building, you know, a foundation with structure, was I have those goals set in place to where I'm working out, I'm doing things to prevent from being detrimental in any type of way to myself and to others. That learning to build my goals, and then like when I'm going through my situations, being mad, sad, being okay with them, but being more open and communicating about them to my support system and the people I care about, and just letting them know, which actually I think was a big step I learned, basically communicating more and stop holding stuff in so it bothers over, and then get to me to where I started sweating, you know, feeling like I can't control myself. So yeah, being able to identify myself as a person would really help a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned self-control. Were you under the influence of anything when any of these crimes were committed?
No, I wasn't under the influence when these crimes was committed. I actually, on the burglary, yes, I was under the influence of marijuana.
Marijuana, any other drugs that you've used in the past?
No.
about drinking?
I don't have a drinking problem, just smoking problem.
You are trash.
Yeah, but I mean, you
I
use
mean,
alcohol?
nah, I'm like occasionally, and I don't even like drinking. So yeah, that's not my thing.
Okay, so, smoking a little weed. No other drugs?
No,
Nothing other than weed?
nothing other than weed.
So what kind of, if the board decides today that you're gonna be released with the residential facility in Fort Dodge, what kind of support system do you have in Fort Dodge, Iowa?
I actually don't have no support in Fort Dodge, Iowa. All my support system is like in Chicago, Illinois, and uh Hammond, Illinois, I think. I can't. And so what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to get set up with like a therapist, like someone I can talk to, so I can have and kind of use my parole officer as as a support system.
Okay, I'm gonna conclude my questions for now, and I'm gonna ask my colleagues if they have any questions for you. And Jesse?
Yeah. Hello, how are you today?
Good, how are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you. Good. So I was reviewing the evaluation that your counselor submitted, and you are a C commit, correct?
What I can hear you.
C commit?
Be commit?
C commit. That means you've been to prison numerous times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up because it makes us take pause and like, what's going on? How come behavior hasn't changed? All those questions go through our minds. What have you done to work on that?
I've been going to YMAP too, Young Men's Awareness Program, and like we be talking about, what would I do to change? What would I do to be aware of what's going on with me and understanding how can I change me, knowing that change is scary, but I know that's what I want, just building a better structure, building a foundation off of structure, some type of structure, environment, Yeah.
So speaking to your counselor before you came on screen, stated that you are currently in ADSEG and you're currently in handcuffs, correct?
Yes.
So what do you think the outcome is going to be after they do their investigation?
I think what it's going to be, I should be getting released from when they get done with their investigation.
I understand that, but what do you think the outcome is going to be? They're going to find you guilty, not guilty?
I think not guilty
What makes you say that?
because of the simple fact of basically they saying I did something I didn't do, which I admitted to what I did do as of use somebody else's phone, like admit to my wrongs, being straight up and straightforward to the guys right off the bat and trying to let them know that I don't have nothing to hide.
They just said he's under investigation for a K2 incident. And that it is likely that it may result in a formal discipline report.
Okay. So you took active class, correct? Or IDAP, both those classes. Explain me the difference between the five senses world and the mental experience world.
The 5 sentence world. Okay. The mental. Okay, I'm gonna start with the 5 senses. The sense, the smell, touch, look, hear, smell, touch, look, hear. And
That's fine. Let me help you out a little bit. And there's a point that I wanted to make here. It's okay. In the 5 senses of the world, it's everything you see, smell, touch, feel, hear. Those are your 5 senses, what goes on. The mental experience, the reason they compare the two is because sometimes when we have thoughts, we fill in the blanks with bad information because we don't have the answer. So what have you done for yourself when you're in a situation and you don't know all the information, but you want to react? What have you learned to do in those kind of situations?
Stop, think about like my goals, what I value most, my job, and understanding like what it can cause and causes and effect, what harm it can do to myself and my mother and family members and stuff like that. And just being someone I know I gotta be someone that's more responsible. I feel that's big.
All right, thank you. I have no more questions.
Mr. Moses?
No, actually, you shared a lot of the information that I needed that answered my question, Mr. Powell. No questions.
Okay, I just have one follow-up question, Mr. Powell. And we talked about this. This isn't your first time in prison, right? You know, you're 36 years old. What makes, if we decide to release you into the community, what makes this time different?
What makes this time different? Me being in a structured environment, me getting the help me putting in the legwork and getting the help that I need. Me being able to take and use the tools that I get for the world to be out there and, just live as a correctful citizen, just doing what's right, changing my ways, working on, just me keep working on changing and to keep trying to push forth for that change and not, and not to look back towards my past and just try to adapt to the better and wanting better in life.
Okay, I appreciate that answer. So now's the time. The floor is yours. If there's anything you'd like to add that we haven't asked you, feel free to share that with us. If you have anything prepared that you'd like to share with the board before we go into deliberations, now's the time.
I really don't have nothing much to say, but thank you and have a great afternoon.
Okay, well, just hang tight. We're not quite done with the interview. So we're going to go into deliberations. We're going to have a discussion. You can sit there, relax and listen to our discussion, and then we'll get back to you with our findings, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Colleagues?
Yeah, I actually can go ahead. Yeah, I mean, as we heard prior to, there's that concern. And that situation is pending. Mr. Powell shared with us what he believes the outcome will be, and whatever that outcome will be. And looking at it, it definitely creates a pause. But then when I look at the TDD of October 13th to 25, doesn't allow him the time on the back end for the services that we want in place to evaluate and continue to evaluate his transition. One of the things that stuck out when you just asked him the question here, Dana, and he shared, tried to be as transparent, but within his, own voice, how he wanted to utilize that support, follow the rules better, basically, than what he was, and open to the things that would be helpful for him in transitioning back out into the community. The other thing is that he was able to share some things that, was significant in IDAP, but active, as Jesse pointed out, when asking him some questions, although he didn't get the mental experiences maybe as clear as maybe we might have liked it, but he knew the 5 senses. You are trash. And he knows that he hadn't made a lot of the best decisions in his past, but he seems to be open to change. And those are the things that we want to see highlighted, especially with someone that is looking to transition back out in the community. I believe at this time, with transitioning back, he's not opposed to the structure, which is what he himself said that he needed, that can, help keep him on the path that could be helpful towards his transition. So in this particular case, I'm in agreement with DOC's position, DOC's recommendation with with the PG D3. Do we do a 10B with this?
That's
Okay. So a PG, a D3 with a 10B, 40A with substance abuse, still want that eval, although the back end is a short amount of time, but still want him to comply. As he shared with you, I believe, Dana, that, weed, THC, marijuana has been his, issues, and wanting him to regulate those issues because those definitely will get him into trouble. And the 50A, although he said alcohol is not his thing, we still want it in place because of the environment. And we don't want Mr. Powell in that kind of environment.
All right, thank you. Jesse?
Yeah, I was on the fence looking at this because of behavior, because of being a C commit, everything. If I'm going to be truthful, it's his TDD that's going to probably pull him off this for me, because if he had more time on the back end, I'd probably be in denial. But I am going to go with the DOC recommendation. James stated perfectly, it's we want to get those services that we want to get in that time that he has. So be it. So I'm going to be in agreement with the DOC recommendation PGD3 with a 10B, 48 for substance abuse.
All right, Mr. Powell, you heard some of the comments from my colleagues. Now I'm going to share with you my thoughts. I agree with both my colleagues, but I want to touch again on a point that my colleague Jesse made. If it wasn't for the TDD, I'm not sure I would be in favor of this. And had I known last week or 2 days ago about the current investigation that's going on, we wouldn't be having this interview, probably. You're scheduled to TDD in October. So then my decision point comes, what good does it do to just have you sit? I think you've completed everything you're going to complete. So having said that, we're gonna go with the recommendation from the Department of Corrections, and they spend time with you. They know you best, and I'm going to explain some of the codes that we talked about. It's going to be a PGD3. The code 10B, that just gets you to the residential facility, the administrative code. The 40A code that we talked about, it's going to be a substance abuse evaluation. We talked about the weed, how that was an issue for you. So we're going to require that substance abuse evaluation. And then the 50A is an alcohol prohibition. When I asked you about the drinking, you said you don't have a drinking problem. That's not necessarily your thing. But that prohibition will keep you out of the environments where there may be other temptations. So there'll be no liquor stores, no bars where the primary source of revenue is alcohol. You can still go into restaurants and serve beers, but no nightclubs where the source of income is primarily alcohol. You need to stay out of those environments. Your support system is going to be this residential facility. You indicated that you don't have any family here, and we think with those codes on there and those restrictions, that we can do our best to set you up for success. By helping you stay out of those environments where the temptation may be there. So that concludes our interview. So you'll be transitioning at some point here to the residential facility. Do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
Thank all three of you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, Mr. Powell.
Good luck.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can't make it up. I told you, Iowa is nuts. They literally just paroled an habitual offender, an offender that in many other states would get an habitual offender bill slapped onto him about a decade ago, a life sentence. But here they are giving him a little slap on the wrist sentences, and I'm going to go through, oh my God, his jacket. It is loaded with crime. So you can say, who's doing wrong here? Well, it's the judges, it's the DAs, but it's also the parole board. You might watch and say, well, he's going to get out anyways in like 9 months. So what's the point? And you know what the point is? The point is no. You say no. You say
no parole for tape.
You send some type of message. You think that sending someone to work release for like 9 months? Where's even the logic? You need some supervision. What are you talking about? And first of all, for anybody who's saying Mandoo, it's better that you have supervision for blah blah blah. The work release means nothing in Iowa. That you just can walk away from it. It's like being free, but with some, they call it work release. There are like some mandates that whether or not the guy's basically free. I mean, we just saw a case. Jennifer from my channel just sent me this link. It's so interesting. An Iowa sex offender who was on work release. He ran away. He disappeared. Dangerous sex offender on the run. Oh no, who knows that could happen, right? It happens all the time. Just Google in Iowa runaway convicts. It happens every day. It does not. I went on a tangent. But can you imagine if you're locked up in the DOC and your buddy who is in seg, who is handcuffed, gets paroled by the parole board? What kind of message are you sending to the prisoners? Seriously, Iowa parole board, you are pathetic. There is a time when you have to lay the hammer down to send a message. This is common sense. He literally is about to receive a very serious write-up, and you parole him? There's some confusion for me internally about the write-up. It says K2, and immediately I thought, well, that's a narcotic K2, but it might be like a a code or something. I have no idea because Iowa is so pathetic. But he's talking about a cell phone, and they're just like, oh, they don't even question it. but I don't know. I think K2, I think narcotic, but either way, it doesn't make a difference. He lied about his jacket. His jacket is full of crimes. He has like 3 possession of substance charges. I doubt that's marijuana, but let's just go. Let's go through it. Let's go through how long this is. So I guess it started minor using tobacco. He's not that. Would he have been a minor in 2005? Yeah, he might have been. He's not that old. I think he was born in 88. So it starts there. 12/1/2005. Again, a minor using tobacco. I mean, it's interesting to even get that. To get that, you have to assume that something led up to it. Another minor using tobacco. A DNU trespass. A theft 5th degree. Assault. Another trespass, contempt, violation of no contact protective order. He's already starting that in 2006. Another protective order, another trespass, another interference with official. That might have been the first of that one. Burglary, 3rd degree, 5 years, but fully suspended. This is when they start giving him sentences, but suspending them. Violation of probation, but don't worry, he doesn't spend any time in that. Burglary, 3rd degree. Possession of a controlled substance, right? That's in 2006. Interference with an official, 2008. Cruelty to animals, because he's a nice guy, right? I mean, we all like people who do cruelty to animals. That's in 2008. DV, bodily injury. With bodily injury, think about that. That's 2009. Contempt. Violation of no contact protective order. Why not? A DV with bodily injury again. 2008, theft 5th degree, controlled substance. There's this now. That's 2011. Remember, I have no problems with substance abuses. Another controlled substance. Don't worry, they gave him 10 years but fully suspended. You know, it's a real joke when you can pick up hundreds of years of sentences when they keep suspending them. Violation of protective order 2013, sentence to 10 years concurrent with the suspended sentence. Willful injury causing bodily injury, 2 years fully suspended. That's 2010. Let's keep going. DV. There he goes again. Let's see. This is consumption, intoxication, but as we know, he doesn't have a problem with substances, clearly, because he said he doesn't. So we're going to believe him. Here's his sexual abuse. Thank you, Holly, for calling it out in highlighted red. Prison to 10 years concurrent with count 2. Life on the sex offender registry. Lascivious acts with a child. This prince, right? Sentence 5 years. Now, this is 2013 when he gets these 10 years sentence, but how is it possible, 1/7/2013, that less than a week later he gets possession of a controlled substance? So I don't know. He bonded out. 11/19. So maybe he did do some prison time for this, because it looks like he goes a little bit of time. So 11/19/2020, criminal mischief. 2/14/2021, burglary 3rd degree. 3/30/21, violation of parole. 11/30/2022, they say 5-year sentence imposed, but here it is that he gets another offense on 12/13/2023. So we know that's not true. This is the DV causing to the blood flow. But what was his way? I threw her on the bed and she made it all up. I guess I hurt her arm, maybe. And he laughs. He laughs. False imprisonment, 2022. This is 11/6/2022. 2 days later, because they don't. He's sentenced to jail, but he's out. 2 days later, he violates that same protective order from the person who he had false imprisonment with. And then here are other sentences Holly added instead of just adding them all because it was too long. But as you can see, Iowa does not do anything to protect the most vulnerable. They do not punish. People say, Iowa, wow, it must be a tough place to do crime. You don't want to mess around in Iowa. It's not true. I don't know. Maybe it had this reputation that outlived itself. Iowa is dangerous. It is dangerous. And just Google it. Ask it. look at the sentences. I pulled quotes from DA saying that, you know, even the average sentence that people get in Iowa for violent crimes, they serve I think 20% of them. It's a joke. It's a joke, and we know it. And I can't imagine that Iowans know it. If they did, they'd be upset. They might even, you know, they might even, the governor might even be embarrassed. The governor handpicks this parole board. Mm-hmm. You know, the man on the left in the tie, the suit, he was a police chief. Yeah. What a guy, huh? What a guy. Anyways, would believe it if you didn't see it. There you go. With that, I'll let you go.
The 5 sentence world. Okay, the mental. Okay, I'm gonna start with the 5 senses. The sense, the smell, touch, look, hear, smell, touch, look, hear. And
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.